Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Sammy. Today we're going to be discussing something that just recently happened. So on January 5th in Venezuela, the United States invaded, so to speak, and arrested the president and his wife and brought him back to the United States for a trial. He was indicted by a grand jury, I think, a couple of years ago and never showed up. So they went in for those reasons. On January 3rd of this year, the United States invaded Venezuela. Actually, this is not something new. Conflict has been going on for quite a while. I have a clip from October of last year, so this has been going on for quite a while.
If I was Maduro, I'd head to Russia or China right now.
Because?
His days are numbered. Something's going to happen. Whether it's internal or external, I think something's going to happen.
The firepower that's off the coast, right? This is an armada. This is a lot of U.S. forces. Are we about to invade Venezuela?
I don't think so. I mean, if we do, I'd be surprised.
Earlier this month, President Trump announced he approved covert CIA operations inside Venezuela.
What do you think removing Maduro would signal to other socialist regimes in the area?
It'll be the end of Cuba.
Cuba relies on subsidized Venezuelan oil to prop up its economy.
America is going to take care of the Southern Hemisphere, and we're going to make sure that there's freedom and democracy.
Well, if you listen to the senator, this is going on for about 3 months. They was predicting it back then and talking about it. But I think this is not a secret. This has been going on for quite a while. They knew drugs were coming in from Venezuela. They knew the government was hooked into the whole process. President wasn't really the president. He took over the country. 50 countries didn't recognize him as the president. The countries all watched it. I'm sure a lot of the countries who were doing the same thing as Venezuela's doing, Colombia and different countries, a little concerned and worried. Cuba, a whole bunch of countries. As far as their economy is concerned, I don't think they'll fall apart. But I think they're very concerned that not only they're going to lose their oil or they're going to have to buy it at different prices, but Cuba's a country that's backed a lot of bad moves too. So anybody who's dealt drugs or been part of these cartels or doing these things is probably concerned. They're more than concerned. They're worried. Colombia, Cuba, any of those countries. It happened even in his time. Joe Biden, from what I understand, offered a $25 million reward for the president of Venezuela, but did nothing. Now we have a president who's not going to just talk bullshit. He's going to act. It's a different game now for them. It took balls to do this. He knew he was going to get a lot of heat from the Democratic Party and probably some of those countries who were worried. So they formed a UN meeting. Everybody's complaining. Not everybody. The people in Venezuela are parading in the streets. These are the people who felt the pain of this takeover from Maduro. And they were partying in the streets. While they're partying in the streets, and they loved it. They love the president. They love our country for doing it. There's people in our country marching, and it just don't make sense to me. But it does make sense. The left of this country, the Democratic Party, is allowing these things to happen. You know, the communism, they're for communism and certain things. The right wing, the Republicans are not. But we finally have a president who stands up and makes a move. He's got balls. He's a gangster. He's not really a gangster, but I mean, he's a man of his word. You know, he says things and then he does things. Other countries, this is good for our country because other countries see these things. And they're worried. They're concerned. We no longer have a president that's going to sit back and just relax and let these things happen to us. People say, no, he just went in for the oil. We're losing 100,000 kids a year from the drugs. It's the drugs. It's the oil. He's hitting them on. He's not just throwing a left hook. He's throwing a left hook, a right hook, a left hook. He just keeps throwing punches. He's punching back. He's fighting back. And part of it is oil. He's hurting them that way, and he's hurting them with shipping drugs. And that's how these people are making monies. Yeah, I mean, the Venezuelans, don't take my word for it. Just look at it yourself. They're partying in the streets. There's parades. They all love it because it helps them. How we could say we're not for it because they hate Trump. And when you're hating Trump and you're knocking these moves like this, then you hate your own country. So it's very confusing to me.
Maduro, out! My family's still in Venezuela, and I've been looking forward to this day for so many years. Thank you, President Trump.
I'm so happy because now Venezuela is free.
People have been gathering to celebrate the fall of Nicolás Maduro's regime. Many of the people here told me they fled Venezuela either during Maduro's regime or during that of his predecessor, Hugo Chavez. Behind me, also people chanting. Just a few moments ago, they were chanting, "It's fallen, the regime has fallen." The mood here is absolutely ecstatic.
I came in this country when I was 10 years old, and ever since I was born, every single person in power of the country has abused us and abused of their power. We have been living in a dictatorship for about 20 years. So I can tell you, this feels like a breath of fresh air.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you watch this, there's tens of thousands of tapes of people in Venezuela crying, smiling, loving what we did. How the Democrats could knock this is beyond me. It's beyond words. We freed a country. Now they say we're going to steal the oil. We're not stealing shit. He's going to take the oil. He's going to make it run like it's supposed to run. The country is going to benefit in a big way. The oil companies will be our oil companies, so we're going to benefit, our companies and our people, because some of that money will pour into this country as well, and we'll have a strong ally. Now, he has work ahead of him to put in a strong regime there, not the same people who was under Maduro, because then he did nothing. I mean, I don't understand how the entire country isn't behind this, but I understand that the Democrats, they're throwing up. They're sick because he's made a tremendous move and they're worried about losing votes and stuff like that. There's Venezuelans, 100,000 or more in this country alone, and they're all parading. They love it. 8 million Venezuelans left Venezuela because of this dictator. This dictator he's not as bad as Hitler, but on the same line. Same thing. All the people starve. They get the money. And not only get the money, he's not even satisfied with that. He's going to be a drug dealer with the cartels. And that's killing our kids. He has an indictment against him in our country from 2020. He's in court now in New York. They put him on a ship, him and his wife. You know, I'm glad they didn't show pictures of the wife because people would feel sorry for her. Now, I understand there's a report, I don't know how true it is, that she ordered people killed. So she's not just a regular woman. You know, we look at a woman being arrested and we feel sorry for her. And I feel sorry for his wife too. But she was ordering hits. She allegedly put hits out on people. We'll see when the tapes come out. But there's rumors of that. But we'll see when the time comes. If they can't prove that, then she should be cut loose and sent home. It's already set up where he's going to... We don't really have to treat him this good, but we are. We're showing we're fair. And we'll be honest with the whole thing. And the reaction of the country is just amazing. And like I said, you're not looking at 1 or 2 or 3 tapes. There's tens of thousands of tapes. And there's millions of Venezuelans cheering about it, not only there, but in our country, who left that country because it was a shambles. So I think this is a good thing for their country, our country, for any other country who is doing things Now, I was in the mob. I knew guys who were buying drugs and dealing drugs from Colombia and different countries. And this is not something new. This is something that's been going on for a very, very long time. I remember it back in the years in the mafia that guys were going to Colombia and bringing stuff in from them. And they had protection in Colombia. They had their armies, their governments was protecting them. So they given them a license to bring these drugs in, whether it's cocaine, fentanyl, and a lot of other drugs. And they're against us. They hate us. And we're marching to let the guy go. We did the wrong thing. I don't know how anybody could look at this and say we did the wrong thing. If the people in Venezuela, all of them, felt it was the wrong thing, then maybe you'd have a little bit of an argument. But they're the people saying they're loving it. You did the right thing. You saved us. And our people are saying we did the wrong thing or he did the wrong thing. I don't get it. First of all, if you go back in history, our oil companies went to that country and helped them build those refineries. Our engineers, everything that was put together, we were doing that in conjunction with them to help them and partner with them. Before Maduro was a guy, Chavez, I think his name was, he threw our oil companies out. He screwed us. Nobody did anything in our country. We accepted that. That shouldn't have never been accepted. Now, Trump is saying, I remember what happened, and he's right. So I'm coming back with our companies. I'm going to rebuild it, make it stronger. The country will love it even more because the country's going to make a lot more money and a lot more things that they're going to be able to live better. But the oil companies are going to make money. They're going to spend $1 billion to make it do what it's supposed to do. So that they're going to make money, the oil companies, and they belong with us. We're going to make some money that was coming to us, and we're not charging, it's what's fair. And they're going to make 5 times, maybe 10 times the amount of money that they're making going right into their country. So everybody's going to benefit on this, whether it's the oil company, it's us, it's Venezuela. That's his plan, and that's what he's doing. Now, he's trying to be a little picky on who's going to come back in. We're going to run it for a little while and get the right people in here who are good for the country, their country, our country. You know, there's been wars. We had a war with Japan. We bombed them. We won the war. Look what we did. Japan is a thriving country for years, been our ally for years. We do all kinds of business with them. I think the same thing that happened with Japan is going to happen with them because they do have a lot of oil in the ground. So our technology, our companies are going to take it out of the ground, show them how it's done, and they're going to benefit. And they're going to be like Japan. They're going to become an ally of ours, much stronger. They're not going to be, Japan don't deal drugs to us. And I think that's what will happen there. Now, when you're looking at the drugs, I mean, there's 100,000 people die of drug-related things from cocaine and fentanyl and all these things. Now, they deal fentanyl to us. Most of fentanyl comes in from China to Mexico and in. So you're not going to kill that whole trade, but we will eventually too, because now they're looking at these moves. I don't know, the president of Mexico might be saying, maybe we should stop what we're doing here with this fentanyl that's coming to our cartels in our country and going straight into the United States. And I hope it does scare the shit out of them. The less drugs that come in, more lives. What about that thing if you save one life, it's a big deal. Well, he's saving tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of lives. Why is this he's making a bad move? In what way? How? It's not one life. It's not 100 lives. It's not 1,000 lives. It's not 10,000 lives. Hundreds of thousands of lives. This next clip we're going to look at, the Democrats and a good part of the media is turning around and saying, this is nothing to do with drugs. This has to do with oil. We'll look at the clip, but I can tell you before we even look at the clip, that's total bullshit. How could you disregard knocking out all of those drugs and like that don't mean anything? He's just doing it for the oil. Even if he had an intention for the oil, and if the thing is he's knocking out the drugs with it, whatever the reason is, that's happening. And that's what he's saying. That's why there was police involved and military. Because the police went after the drugs, not the oil. If he just went after oil, there'd be no police, there'd be nothing like that. But let's hear the video.
But here's what's tantalizing, and here's the reason I think that a lot of people are looking towards Venezuela and thinking, well, there's more to this than just drugs. Look at total oil reserves around the world. The higher these bars are, the more oil there is in the ground, so that hasn't yet been taken out of the ground. So there you've got Saudi, Iran, Iraq, all of the usual suspects. But the biggest of all, and this is according to various different sources, the biggest of all is Venezuela. And what's that oil? It's the heavy, tarry stuff that you might well want to put into those American refineries. And there is really only one other place in the world that has a kind of serious amount of heavy oil other than Canada and Venezuela. And lo and behold, guess where that is? It's Russia. All of which is to say, it matters what kind of oil America needs. It's worth just delving into these kind of nuances because that helps you understand a little bit more about the backstory of geopolitics.
If this was strictly about oil, and Canada's got more than Venezuela or whatever, if it was strictly about oil, why ain't we attacking Canada? We could attack them. We'd go like we're doing now, same exact thing. But we're not going after the oil. That's not the main thing. The main thing is drugs. Canada is not sending in drugs to us. They send oil in. That makes the difference between Canada and Venezuela. This guy is ruined the country, starved the people, sending drugs and getting that money and sending it to the United States. Now that's an act of war, what they're doing to begin with. And we didn't go to war. We went in there to take a regime change. We're taking him out. He's an indictment against him. It's a police move. He was indicted in our courts. So it's not strictly, if you listen to these people, it was not about drugs, it's about oil. Then why aren't we attacking Canada? It would be an easy move to attack Canada. Whether it's a war, it's not a war. Canada wouldn't stand a chance against us in a war, just like Venezuela can't stand a chance against us. So it just don't make sense. Their argument is full of shit. And Canada has more oil, this crude oil, than Venezuela has. But Canada is not shipping drugs. Drugs come through Canada like it comes through the border, but it's not coming in through them. Canada's not hooked up with drugs. Smugglers come through, they try to stop them, we try to stop them. But there's no arguments, there's no war, there's no anything. So if it was strictly about oil, we'd be fucking with Canada. But we're not. There's other places, this guy's wrong, there's other places that have oil, Africa, places like that. We're not attacking these countries. So this makes their argument very weak. The combination of oil, drugs, and stuff makes us attack Venezuela. And it's been going on, not for a day, this has been going on for years and years and years and years. Enough is enough. We had a pipeline coming in. The Democrats stopped the pipeline coming in from Canada. We could say we'll go back to it. We might go back to it. He'll make a deal. Now, he won't go in and kidnap the president. He won't go in there and go to war. So where's your argument? When you're saying these are the places that have oil, this oil. There's Saudi Arabia, all them countries have oil. We're not going to war with them. We're not taking their oil. Their argument don't make sense. Venezuela, if they weren't doing drugs, I am sure that we would have been buying oil from them. I don't think we would have went in to take over the oil business, or would have. This was for drugs and oil, both. And you got to remember, we built all of those oil fields in Venezuela with our countries, and they threw us out. You can't do that either. That's illegal. They broke that law. We didn't do anything. But Trump had it with the drugs, had it with the idea that we were thrown out and we're going to come back in and rebuild it. We're going to help them more. It was a perfect fit for Trump to make a move, for us to make a move. But none of our presidents would do it but Trump. But this is a move that should have been made by Joe Biden and Trump and people before him. Trump has been complaining about this from his first election and didn't do anything. But this election, he's had enough. The drugs are pouring in from there. Look at when he was shooting the boats. Everybody was complaining about the boats. One after the other, after the other, after the other. Boatloads of that, speed boats, and they were accompanied by military. Making it there with their military, with his blessings. He was making tons of money with it. Listen, you could call it whatever you want, but you can't take those things away. If there was no drugs coming in, would he have gone in? I don't think so. I don't think anybody thinks so. I don't even think he thinks so. Then he's just going in to take over a country or take over an oil thing. And if that was him, why wouldn't he do it to Alaska, Canada? Why wouldn't he do it to some of these other countries? Why just Venezuela? Because Venezuela had a combination. They're killing us with their drugs. They threw us out originally, which is basically illegal. He's indicted in the courts. So he's on the lam from that. They don't want this to be successful. If this is successful, this is so big for our country and for him as the president, because he's the guy who did it. You as the Democrats can't take credit for it. They know that. So the only thing is to degrade him, to cause confusion with the media and everybody. Try to make the people think he did this for just strictly the oil. No. If they weren't doing drugs, you could say that. But they're doing drugs more. Colombia grows cocaine and does cocaine. The way they come in is through the jungles. It's really hard to get it to the United States. When the Colombia sends it to them, they put it on boats and they were getting it in like this anytime they wanted. He knew that. Joe Biden knew that. He didn't do anything. If the news media should yell about something, they should be saying, finally we got somebody with a backbone, somebody who's not going to have these people fucking destroy our country, kill our fucking kids and everybody. That's what they should be saying. So that, to me, instead of believing them or believing a guy like this, I say I'm suspect on how are you thinking? What are you thinking? Why are you against this? You're an American. Why are you against this? I said this in my live yesterday when I was talking a little bit. Now, it sounds like I know what I'm talking about because I've been in the mafia. There was a lot of guys who dealt drugs. And I wasn't part of that, but I knew what they did. I knew where it was coming from. I knew what was going on. I didn't get involved in it. I wasn't involved with cartels or stuff like that. I never wanted that, but I knew what the fuck was going on and where it was coming and how they got it. So this isn't new to me. This is something these countries did it. Now, there's a lot of countries that have oil. crude oil, all kinds of oil. And we don't go after them. Not that I know of. But I don't know everything. But especially this. This I know about personally. And so they're trying to paint a picture. He did a great thing. A ballsy move. He's a gangster. He's tough. He knew he was going to get banged around for this. And that's a man's man. That's a gangster. He didn't give a fuck. He just did what he had to do, which was good for the country. That's him. He does that right across the board, not just with oil, with everything. If you look at it, with everything. They said he was kissing Russia's ass. They made up all kinds of stories. He don't kiss Russia's ass. He don't kiss anybody's ass. He could sit back. He's a multi-billionaire. He could sit back and coast through it and let everything happen and don't take no heat and walk away like everybody else. But that's not him. He sees a problem. He's a fixer, and he tries to fix it. All right, let's go beyond the oil. Let's go into what about Maduro?
Let's turn it over right now to Maddie Rivera with the latest on the president's plan moving forward. Maddie.
Good morning, Carly and Todd. That's right. There are a lot of questions of how exactly the U.S. is running Venezuela. Maduro's handpicked vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, is now the acting president. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. will be running the country's policy to make sure that American interests are addressed. And that includes stopping drug trafficking and making sure that oil revenues don't go to the benefit of U.S. adversaries. And in that sense, the president indicates the U.S. is making the rules.
Have you spoken to the newly sworn-in president there, Rodriguez?
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
We're in charge.
You've been spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people
Do you want to?
Yeah, at the right time, I will.
So Rodriguez and Rubio have spoken. Notably, Rodriguez had a much more defiant tone, claiming shortly after he was ousted that Maduro is the rightful leader. But in a new statement, she sounds a lot more cooperative, saying, "We invite the U.S. government to collaborate with us on an agenda of cooperation oriented towards shared development within the framework of international law to strengthen lasting community coexistence. President Donald Trump, our peoples and our region deserve peace and dialogue, not war." The president also issuing warnings to Colombia and Cuba. He says the latter is ready to fall. The rhetoric falling in line with the president's message over the weekend that he wants the U.S. to be surrounded by good neighbors. Meantime, onto that arraignment, Maduro is facing 4 federal counts: narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. Maduro's arraignment is scheduled for noon.
I think he's dead. I think he's finished. But you never know. I mean, this country is going to give him a fair trial. He's going to have lawyers, big lawyers and strong lawyers. And, you know, some of these guys could pull magical tricks in court. I don't know. But these charges here, these are all heavy charges. This guy's convicted on not all of them, but some of them. He'll never see the light of day, number one. Number two, because he does have connections and power in the street and with the cartels, my guess is he's going to do time in the ADX Supermax where they'll bury him. He's not going to be sending messages out of prison to his people and make this move, do this or do that. That's not going to happen. He's going to do time in the ADX Supermax and never see the light of day. He's up in age. He's not a young guy. He'll probably die in prison. But these are heavy, heavy-duty charges. And he was indicted for this stuff. And they're just bringing him up on something that he was indicted in the United States 2020. And the shame of the question shouldn't be what's going to happen to him now. The question should be, why didn't they do this 4 years under Biden with the Democrats? And even before, Biden offered a $25 million reward for him and did nothing. He boosted that reward up to $50 million. but he did something himself. So it's twofold. It's not one fault. I'm sure what's running through his head. Let's bring him to trial. He was already indicted by this country. Let's stop the drugs. Let's get our oil companies back in there. Let's make some money that we deserved. Let's make the country big, beautiful, and rich again. It will help the people. All of those things are in his brain, in my opinion. Not one, not the oil, not the drugs, not one. It's a multitude of reasons that's going through his head to make him do this. Because he knew there's no way, he's not a stupid man, whether you like him or not. You got to admit, he's not a stupid man. And he knew he's going to take a lot of heat. The Democrats are going to be all over him. He knew that. The media, a lot of the media is going to be all over him. He knew that. But yet, he said, I'm going to do this. I'm the president. I'm going to do the right thing for those people, for our people, and for the surrounding countries, and to stop people from dying. He's trying to stop that war with Russia. He's against these people dying for no reason, for people's personal greed. And I think that's what's running through his head. It's a combination of reasons. Don't just pick out the one you don't like. It's not for drugs, it's for the oil. No, it's for all of the reasons. I didn't say it's strictly for drugs. No, oil's on his mind. There's no question about it. We got thrown out, if you look at the history, that he don't like. It was ours to begin with. They didn't even have oil. So all of those things are in his head. So a multitude of reasons I say that he made this move. But any one of those reasons is good enough to make that. When you combine all of them, I think he's got a great reason. Now, for a minute, let's talk about Delcy Rodriguez. We left her there as the vice president. She came in as the interim president right now. I'm sure he don't want her there. I wouldn't want her there. She's handpicked by Maduro. She's a puppet for Maduro. She's part of the problem. Why make her or leave her as the president? Then you've done nothing. And I'm sure Trump is thinking that way. She is his right-hand man, so to speak. Why would you put her in and leave her there? At first, she's talking about helping the United States. Then she's saying, I want him back. He's the president. She's wishy-washy. That shows already. She's not one of the people cheering, finally, we got rid of him. She's not doing that. She's part of that problem. If I was him, I wouldn't put her in. No way, no how. You're not going to get a guy, a John Gotti. You're not going to get John Gotti on a trial without getting me, his right-hand men, his people. And you'd be crazy. If John Gotti, you got him and you put him away, and Sammy the Bull was on the street, and Sammy the Bull is going to become the boss or the acting boss, the government's not stupid. You're getting nothing. You did nothing. You got rid of one guy. I would make it continue 100%. But if you didn't know, if John Gotti, you got him, and you didn't know any crimes about Sammy, you know he's his right-hand man. You don't want him in power. But you can't just arrest me unless you know about the crimes I did. You got to have something. You can't just, then you're a dictator. So he couldn't take her. He probably don't have evidence on her. So he's left her. His son is on the indictment. He didn't take the son. They may go back for the son later. I don't know. And I don't know how much they have on the son. But you're not going to leave the same people in there. I don't think he'll leave her in there. He'll look for somebody who is the other side, who cared about the country and fought against the country. This guy, he put people in prison who is against him. That he'll look to those people because those people wanted the right thing for their country. Maduro locked them up, got rid of them, killed some of them, locked some of them up. That's where you would look. You would look for somebody who believes in the country, is crying in the streets, wants that country back, and wants to be free. That's who he's looking for. Yeah, he's not. He can't just throw her out or lock her up unless without evidence. So I don't know about her, but I know she's handpicked for him. If he loses, she's going to be the same thing as him. It's his right-hand man.
It's a long walk to face the wrath of American justice for Nicolás Maduro and his wife Celia. Dressed in matching tan prison uniforms, they're led in handcuffs from a chopper, headed to their first court appearance, surrounded by heavily armed federal agents. It was an all-hands-on-deck operation getting the captured first couple of Venezuela from a detention center in Brooklyn to federal court in Manhattan. The early morning odyssey began with the Maduros loaded into an armored truck, then transferred to an SUV, then to a helicopter for the brief flight to Lower Manhattan. Another armored truck transported them to the federal courthouse for their arraignment. Security is intense. A ring of steel surrounds the courthouse, where protesters have gathered demanding Maduro be released.
So Maduro's in prison now, and it's set for March, but this whole thing is not over yet. The UN had an emergency meeting to see what they're going to do with this situation. Let's take a look at the United States, what they're going to do. The United States' defense to the UN.
This past weekend, colleagues, the United States successfully carried out a surgical law enforcement operation facilitated by the U.S. military against two indicted fugitives of American justice, narco-terrorist Nicolás Maduro and Celia Flores. Colleagues, Nicolás Maduro is responsible for attacks on the people of the United States, for destabilizing the Western Hemisphere, and illegitimately repressing the people of Venezuela. As Secretary Rubio has said, there is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation. Colleagues, Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He was an illegitimate so-called president. He was not a head of state. In fact, just 2 years ago in 2024, a UN panel of experts report found that the election in that year was absolutely and completely a farce and fell well short of the most basic transparency and integrity measures essential to upholding credible elections. If the UN and the United Nations in this body confers legitimacy on an illegitimate narco-terrorist and the same treatment in this charter of a democratically elected president or head of state, what kind of organization is this? He is the head of a vicious foreign terrorist organization, Cartel de los Soles. This regime-sponsored enterprise coordinates with and relies on other vicious criminal organizations, namely Tren de Aragua, again, among others, to carry out its objective of using illegal narcotics as a weapon against the United States. And for its part, Tren de Aragua is a designated foreign terrorist organization with thousands of members, many of whom have unlawfully infiltrated the United States and are conducting irregular warfare and undertaking hostile actions against the American people and against the United States. It's terrorizing criminals commit brutal crimes, including murders, kidnappings, extortions, and human, drug, and weapons trafficking. This administration, President Trump, will not stand for it. I want to reiterate, President Trump gave diplomacy a chance. He offered Maduro multiple off-ramps. He tried to de-escalate. Maduro refused to take them. President Trump made it clear that the narco-terrorism must stop, and yet it continued. The United States will not waver in our actions to protect Americans from the scourge of narco-terrorism and seeks peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. I thank you, Mr. President.
Other UN members who don't agree with him and with us, and they never will. They never will. These are countries that are not looking for being fair or that love us or care about us or care about the truth. These politicians get up. They all have a loyalty to different things and different reasons. Same thing with the media. So you're going to hear the other side all the time. We just have to be smart enough to understand what went on. If you don't understand what went on by now, in this conversation you're having with me, what you're watching, there's nothing to say about it. There was people on the streets cheering for John Gotti. When he got busted, they were John Gotti and Angelo and his brothers. They were dealing drugs left and right. But there was people cheering for them to beat the case, to do this, to do that. How could you cheer for them when they're poisoning your kids? But there's people like that. Whether they're taught in schools and whatever it is, they're fucked up. What if some woman got raped? And I'm cheering, well, I think he did the right thing. He should go free. She was doing this and she was doing that. He raped her. How do you accept that the guy who raped her he's okay, he's not bad? The difference between black and white. I don't know how to explain it to you. Take a look at what the diplomat from Mexico says.
For the statement, and now give the floor to the representative of Mexico.
Señor Presidente.
Mr. President, thank you for having convened this emergency meeting of the Council. The government of Mexico has already made its position clear with regard to our condemnation of the military aggression of January 3rd against targets in the territory of Venezuela, in clear violation of Article 2 of the Charter of the United Nations. These actions must not be allowed, as they constitute a severe blow to the Charter and to multilateralism. Mexico would like to clarify the following points. 4 points. Number 1, the prohibition of the threat or the use of force against the sovereignty, territorial integrity, or political independence of any state is the foundation of international law, regardless of the country or the government involved. 2, rhetoric pointing towards the escalation or expansion of military actions, including to other countries in our region, threatens regional stability. 3, the Security Council has the responsibility and, above all, it has the obligation to act decisively and without double standards in the face of serious violations of the Charter and to restore international peace and security in strict adherence to the provisions of Article 24 and observing Article 27.3. It is for sovereign peoples to decide their destiny and to find peaceful, democratic and negotiated solutions to their political differences within a framework of unrestricted respect for human rights. Regime change by external actors and the application of extraterritorial measures are not only acts contrary to international law, but historically all they've done is exacerbate conflicts and weakened the social and political fabric of nations.
They're protecting what they did wrong and using something that's supposed to be good and twisting it. All of that stuff he's reading, yeah, it's very good. It's very good. But it's not for a guy or president or a country that is dealing drugs to another country by breaking every law that God made. Fuck the UN. And they're protecting themselves. They're doing the same shit. So of course they don't want this to happen. Because if they allow it, if they said, yeah, put him in jail and change this here because we don't like this, dealing drugs and killing people with drugs, then they put themselves in a bad position because they're doing the same shit. So of course they're going to say shit like this. But it's up to us to understand the difference between right and wrong. We know right away when something is wrong. Like I said about Canada, if we went in and attacked Canada tomorrow morning and we wanted their drugs, or not their drugs, their oil, or anything that they have, it would be wrong, and it should be protected. What Russia is doing to Ukraine, the world agrees. It's horrible. You just want land, money, power. That's your thing. Ukraine broke a few things. He wanted to join and put missiles right on their border. He didn't want that, Putin. There's arguments and things going back and forth, but it's not clear. So Russia took heat. Everybody backed Ukraine. Everybody. Russia was wrong. They broke international rules and law. We're not attacking Russia. We're feeding Ukraine money, weapons to fight back. Why is this different? They're dealing drugs. They're partners with drug cartels. They're starving their people. Then if you have this argument, like his argument, his bullshit argument, then why did you leave Hitler alone? Leave him alone. And when they did leave him alone, look what the fuck he did. Hitler should have been stopped in his tracks. This argument don't mean anything to me at all. Let's hear from what the diplomatic lady from Colombia says.
And the territorial integrity of Venezuela.
This all sounds good, and it is good, and it's great that if you do these things to countries without a tremendously good reason, it should violate everything, and everybody should be against it. They're partners with cartels, and they're dealing drugs. They're allowing it. Now, when she allows it or anybody allows it, then it should be happening in their country. Don't ship it to our country. Ship it to your own people. Sell the drugs to your own people. No, they won't do that. They'll try and stop that or cut that out. But it's okay to deal it to us. It don't work that way. All those laws and rules and stuff is for a tyrant to come in and take over a country. We're not a tyrant. Trump is not a tyrant. We're not. There's plenty of reasons. It's obvious why we did it. Now, to try and use those rules and make us look like tyrants, or Trump could give a shit less about him. If he was just running his country and selling oil, Trump would never even bother with it. He probably wouldn't even bother with them. And that's the way it should be. But when you break all of those rules like he did, the good rules don't apply no more. You can go to church and be a Christian and a good person, God-loving person. God, I'm sure, will love you. Maybe he'll answer some of your prayers. But if you go out the following day and kill 14 people or 20 people and you're dealing drugs and you're raping women, you're breaking all the rules. And you may suffer the consequences for it. That's as simple as that. He broke all the rules. Don't give us rules that apply to good people, for good people. This is not good people when they're dealing drugs and they're killing people and they're cartel members and their country is starving. They said there's 25 to 30 million people in that country. You're a good person? That should be enough to stop him. Forget about the oil, forget about the drugs, forget about everything. That alone, somebody should save those people. We did that during World War II. Without troops, we lost lives to help people who were being tortured by Hitler. We went in. Everything is just God's nature, everything. So don't give me some bullshit about what shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be done to a good country who's doing their own thing, and some other guy wants to take it over, and that's what that's about. So she might be a good woman, she might be reading the law, and she's right, for good people. But you're sitting there, you're not fighting for good people. The people in that country are good people, but not the people who whatever we just did. It don't apply to them. Those rules don't apply to them. All they care about is money when they're coming in with those drugs and people buying it over here. Did they ever think about 1 minute how many people are dying? How many people they're killing? The guy in the UN, from what he said right in the beginning, he gave you a list of everything they were doing. That list alone, when you look at that list, how could you say, we're wrong? Don't do that to them. If that's what you could say, then you're part of them, or you're blind. Say that when you're a Democrat, you're saying that, release him, do this, do that. Did you go to any of those funerals of hundreds of thousands of kids in our country who died from that? Did you go to their funerals? Do you live with their mothers and fathers and uncles and aunts and people who lost these kids to this garbage? Did you go to those funerals? Do you care about those people? Don't tell me about justice. Don't tell me about a law that's written. You're not supposed to rape people, but fuck that law for them. We care about this rape because he's my son or I like him or whatever the fuck your reason is. He's a rapist or a serial killer. Frame him if you could. But don't come up with some law that was made for good people and to protect good people. Don't read that law to me or to the world. It's a good law for good people, not for them. Don't apply. It's a different law. So I don't know what her thing is. She might be a good person. I don't know. And she's reading it because she believes in that. But my answer to her is that protects good people, right? That's made to protect good people. People who are weaker than the strong people. Does that apply to them? Are they weak? Do they care about other people? Do they know that lives are being lost and the dollar means more to them than that? So I could hear these people in the UN could prop up their bullshit, say what they want. In my opinion, they don't matter. If that's the way you want to think about it. That's fine. And really, that's all I got to say on this subject. It's so obvious. There's right and there's wrong. The right protects good people from bad people. That's what they should be talking about. And this does not apply. These are not good people we're trying to protect. Let him back out? Good. I would tell that lady, let's let him out and put him in, make him live in your house with you and your children. If you want him out, let's let him out and put him in your house. Live with him. I bet she would say no. People who died, these are real people who have died. Children who never had a shot at life to live. He's caught. I wish the mafia had that kind of a length of time to be out there, real bad guys. We Roy DeMeo. We took out our own bad guys. We didn't say, no, leave Roy DeMeo alone. No, he became a serial killer. Kill him and get rid of him. And we did. And I would be the first one to say, because I was in the mafia, and a lot of guys suffered in prisons and everything else. Families were broken up. And sometimes the government did things they shouldn't have. They overstretched and did things. Fight for that. I get it. Prison reform, I fight for prison reform to let certain people out. They did enough fucking time, 25, 30 years or whatever. Enough is enough. You know, if they gave Roy DeMeo 3 million years or death penalty and killed him, I wouldn't be against it. Maybe some of you guys will look at me and say, you deserve it. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Luckily, I changed my life. He never changed his life. These cartel guys never changed their life. Me, when he was blowing up those boats, you couldn't pay me to drive one of those boats and try to get it into the United States. I would say, fuck you, I ain't going on that boat. The money's not worth it. They're not dumb. They know when it's not worth it. And that's what Trump is doing. He's showing the world it's not worth it to fuck with our country, to kill our children. We would all understand if somebody attacked a naval ship, another country. 4 sailors die in this attack. We go to war because you fucked with our country. 4. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people died through the years with this shit. We should be like those people in Venezuela, crying, screaming, yelling. Good, great. You're saving good people, Trump. They're right. We're fighting for the wrong side. If you're on the side of letting him out, we're wrong. Trump is wrong. You're on the wrong side of God. You're on the wrong side of everything. He's on the right side of what he's doing, what we're doing. I like him. Some things I don't like what he says or does. I say something, but not stuff like this. If I hated him, I would like him for what he's doing. People, I made this video. I'm a little passionate about it. I got people in my family who died from drugs. It's not even some punk-ass drug dealer who's standing on the corner, low-level crook. You want to be a little compassionate with him, and he made a mistake. And this is the main source. These are the main people. This is people who are killing people by the hundreds of thousands and don't give a flying fuck. I'm not sympathetic with him or his wife. And I'm going to tell you something. Watch what he does. If he's a man's man, like he says he is, he'll make a deal. He'll try to make a deal with the government. Make a deal. Try and cut your wife loose. Try and cut your son loose. Cooperate. Not to get out of prison, to save his family's life. If his wife isn't a bad person, he should say, I try to save her. If his son became fucked up because of him, save your son. When I got pinched in my ecstasy case, as soon as my son faced a lot of time, I admitted to everything, things I didn't even know what I was talking about. I said, yeah, I did it all to get him out. That's what he should do. And maybe change his fucking life. I don't know if he could change his life. And I don't know, like there's El Chapo. When the fuck is enough enough? You made billions of dollars, not millions, billions. When the fuck do you stop? Walk the fuck away. Get the way, stop, walk away. It should have never got to this point. It should have stopped him then. Why didn't they stop him then? Why didn't all them people in the fucking UN say, wait a minute, we all know it, 50 countries, why do we leave him there? Why didn't they say something and throw him out then? Maybe it fit them, oh, this guy's good. I could sell drugs and give it to him, and I could do this, and I could do that. Or I'm getting some oil. Why didn't you just complain about him then too? I'm not trying to force you to think any which way. Think however you want to think. But if you think what you're doing, marching against our own country, our own president, is the right thing for you to do, then this country's in a lot of trouble. Because I remember as a kid growing up, grandfathers, fathers, and people fighting for this country, dying for this country. There was a war, they joined up in droves, women kissing them when they came home on the streets. They didn't even know who the guy is. She's kissing them, hugging them. They fought for our country. They loved our country. Not now. Trump is evil for this. All he was thinking about is oil. He's a multi-billionaire. This oil, even if it comes into our country, he's not getting it. He don't give a fuck about that oil. He gives a fuck about right and wrong. He gives a fuck about leaving a legacy for himself and his children to be one of the best, if not the best president ever. So it's a hard job because there's people fighting him every 2 minutes of the day. And the Democrats have wrecked the country for the last 4 years. They did a number on this country. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is my opinion on the whole matter. And I don't think there's anything that would change my mind. Subscribe, sign up, like, do all that. Comment. I would love to hear your comments. If you agree with me, disagree with me, and give me a reason. Just give me a reason, any reason. Just like I'm giving you. I'm not a brilliant person. I'm not one of them. I'm not a politician. Give me a reason. Show me. Conversation is good, and you may win me over. I may say, I think I'm wrong a little bit. I didn't look at it that way. But this is the way I look at it. Often, as a gangster, I look at things in a different way because I know the streets. I understand all these cartel people, and I understand different things and greed and power and structures and all these things through the years. So I look at this thing, and us going in, that's a great thing. I take my hat off to Trump. Great job, bro. And the military. The military, I love the military. I was in the military myself. And you guys, you blew it away. I mean, every country, these nasty countries, they got a shit in their pants when they see this. They don't want to fuck with us. And when they don't want to fuck with us, you know what that means? We're safe. You're home safe with your kids and your family, and you can go to school and you can be in a business and try to make a life for yourself. Your house, you can live in your house. It's not going to get bombed. That's what this does. It has a lot of meanings to it. And the meanings for us are good. We got bombed in World War II. Our ships, sailors, dozens, hundreds of them were killed. They tested us. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. Right now, I'm going to go get some breakfast, something to eat, because I'm fucking starving. And Lily's a little annoyed with me that I'm not paying attention to her. Where is she? Oh, there she is. All right, guys. So, listen. Adios, motherfuckers.